I do think we did figure out the technicalities for the call today. Yay. I am Bella, and I'm so happy to be here with Katreni and with Alison. And today we are going to speak about, or I'm not going to be here all the time, but I'm going to introduce you to a conversation about the Godhead Minerva. And the Godhead Minerva is the Godhead that has gene key 32, 50, 28, and 44. So it's actually exactly where we are in the wheel right now. I happen to have all these gene keys. So I'm going to be here in the background as a tech support. And if people have questions in the chat, I'll make sure that we answer them before the end of the call. And with that, I guess I'm just leaving it over to you, Alison, and to Katreni.
Oh, thank you, Bella, for enabling this quantum leap in technology and hopefully in other ways as well. And welcome, Katreni, as well. I'm really excited about today. I feel that all of us here and many other women I know are embodying this archetype of Minerva. So I'm really interested to kind of see what comes out of the cauldron of wisdom today, because Minerva is a goddess of wisdom. So before we look at the actual godhead, Minerva, there is also an asteroid called Minerva. And I was so excited to discover today that she is exactly conjunct the new moon tomorrow, which is in the new moon's in 44 line 6, and Minerva is in 44 line 5, and they're just 25 minutes apart from each other. So that's like hugely wow. So it feels like our timing today is really precision, and the fact she's there speaks to me of Minerva has something for us in how the synarchy is going to unfold, is unfolding. So it feels like, that's really significant. And then there's two other astrological bodies that connect to Minerva. They're the same kind of archetype, but in different cultures. So we have Bellona, a namesake of yours, Bella, probably. And so Bellona, she's also an asteroid, and she's actually conjunct the North Node, which is karmically where the energy is moving towards at the moment in Gene Key 34. And this is the 3420 is part of the cross of the sleeping phoenix. So Katreni and I actually did a whole other podcast on that. So again, Bellona is in a really interesting place. And the other one is Pallas Athena, who was the second goddess asteroid to be discovered. And she's in 37 at the moment, and that's all about equality. And all these archetypes, what came to me today was to think about them as the changing yin. So the yin that has the yang line. So they're like the yang that's within the yin. So they Minerva often represents wisdom, mathematics, all kinds of things that are maybe traditionally associated with the men, and certainly in the kind of 2,000 years of patriarchy. But if we go back beyond that, then we see that this divine feminine form of wisdom has existed on the planet and is kind of making a comeback. So I just want to share a couple of images. So Where's that gone? It's disappeared. Ah, okay. Hang on a sec. Let me screen share again. Oh, they seem to be disappearing for some reason. Okay. You might have caught a glimpse of those, but one was of Sulis Minerva. So she is from Britain, and there's a place called Bath where there was natural water coming up from the land. And so Sulis Minerva is particularly connected as a goddess of water. And I think when we go through the gene keys or gates here, they have some of them have a very watery feel to them, so that's interesting to me. The other one was of Bologna, and it's a statue where Bologna and Janus are kind of in this, they're swirling like that, and Janus has got two faces. So again, that alludes to what I was saying about Pallas Athena in Gene Key 37, which is about equality, that there's this androgynous quality, the integration of the masculine and the feminine within one being, within the brain. So these are things I kind of associate with Minerva. And I wanted to also just mention another place I think is connected with Minerva. So Minerva is known originally as an Etruscan goddess, but not a lot is known about the Etruscan civilization, apart from, you know, they were incredibly creative and artistic. It feels like a kind of star-seeded culture that kind of arrives and then disappears again. But there is also these three ancient Libyan priestesses from the oasis of Siwa in the desert. And the kind of latest archaeological findings show these three women. So their names were Teki, Seshat, and Ata Shima Ti. And Teki is credited with the creation of geometry, Seshat with the creation of trigonometry, and Ata Shamina Ti with the creation of calculus more than 4,000 years ago. So this predates Pythagoras, it predates where we think the ancient wisdom comes from in Greece. That's our Western idea. You know, the Greeks were immensely clever, and this is where all our wisdom came from. So it's kind of quite shocking that there's actual archaeological evidence that three African women discovered it a lot earlier. So you could see how controversial this could be and could break down so many ideas. But this is, I think, the essence of Minerva. It's like a very ancient, feminine, I don't know if feminine's even the right word, but it's a kind of yin transmission that feels kind of beyond feminine. But and it's connected with astronomy, languages, writing, arts, and all these cultures, and Minerva is also connected with crafts as well. So that's a really interesting side to her. And it's actually only later under the Romans that she takes on this more warlike quality, and you see that in Britain as well. Because she's very good at strategy, so you could kind of see why she was appropriated as a goddess of war. So that's all I have to say as far as an introduction about her goes. So I'm going to hand over to you, Katreni, and what's your take on Minerva?
Thank you, Alison. I love it. I love the different coincidences, and you've sounded out something that I didn't know, like this goddess of water. And when we look actually to the bodygraph, to it, and especially to the splenic center to which these gates belong, like 32, 28, 50, from this goddess is particularly the stream, the tribal stream 3254, the channel transformation, and the gate 44. It's connected to the memory, and the memory within the body, the memory of the lymphatic system, the memory of the immune system. And 3254 is transformation, because it's also about transforming the waters of the body and the memories of the body. So for me, that totally makes sense. And it's about collecting. Sometimes we're collecting our body, collecting too much water because we kind of hold on to our memories. Sometimes we're releasing water. The 28 gate is about kidneys. So there is this kind of splenic in terms of the center, in terms of water circulation, lymphatic system, kidneys, transformation of memory, holding on to memory, releasing memory. And we know that water holds memory, and water transmutes memory. And yeah, there is many alchemical things I feel within the Godhead, and yeah, within this particular codon rings, which I want to dive in. And there's so many things, like in the how we can look at Minerva through Etruscan goddess and its history, through codon rings, through the wheel, through the asparaginic acid and glutamine acid, through the codon rings, and like it's crazy. Through the terms of like Minerva is very tribal in terms of circuitry. That's why Ra chose for this part of the wheel this god, this name, Minerva. And so for me, while I was preparing for this reading, I'm kind of, yeah, what's important, because there is this dark side, there is this light side, and there is also, which I feel we're heading towards, like how we transmute this information, the basic information from human design, from gene keys, codon rings, from chemistry, from our experience, like what is the quintessence we can take in from the Godhead. And so I would like this conversation, this our meeting would be about that, like how we transform and where we are heading in terms of our body consciousness, and yeah, in terms of transformation of tribe, which is happening now, with transformation of I, of transformation of education and skills. So for me, Minerva, Etruscan goddess, most of all, and Etruscan is a mysterious, and there are two Etruscan godheads in the wheel, which is Janus, the two-headed god, which then was transformed by the patriarch wave of consciousness into two males, but actually it was a two-headed, two-faced Madonna. But it's another conversation, and it's deeply yin, deeply feminine Godhead. And Minerva, for me, is kind of connecting even to Venus, and I would like to unfold it and maybe show some pictures as well. But for me, sorry for my mic. For me, the most interesting thing is about skills. So there is a choice to go in a warfare, or like another phase of the warfare is skills and talent. And for me, that's super much connected to the body awareness and like that would be my quintessence I want to explore and unfold today. And because tribe is very dark, we will find in this Godhead all the horrendous, all the horrible savage still existing this day and time, how to say, traces of the tribe, which is like beating with stones. The women, it's a female Godhead, but the dark side of her is that the tribe actually uses kind of this energy against actually a womanhood. There is circumcision, there is no education to the female, no education to the girls. This is a killing, this is cutting of the hands, this is circumcision. This is all the dark side of the tribe, and it's also underneath the same chemistry, I would say. So I want to kind of balance and integrate, because we cannot close our eyes on the dark. We cannot just look into the bright, but we also have to see where we are actually. And I guess the wheel will give us some answers when I will share the wheel. But for now, I just want to share some pictures. This is a Minerva. So Etruscan didn't like, they skipped the I in the Minerva. It was Minerva. There was a different name. So this is an Etruscan sculpture of her. We can also see the meadows. It's another story about the meadows and how it's appeared and how it's connected to Pallas Athena and all this mythology, which then became Greek. But Etruscan are mysterious. For me, it's an ancient tribe. It's one of the most skillful tribes that ever existed on Earth, and it's also mysterious because it just disappeared. Maybe it's assimilated into the Roman Empire and Greek culture, but for me, they're kind of, the whole gene pool is like the Illuminati. They kind of were present and then they were gone. Maybe they were so skillful they kind of just find a wormhole and they like just took their trip on the other side. So this is more more Roman kind of sculpture of hers, of arts and crafts, of tribal education, of like, for me, the most fascinating thing is that she was born from the head of the Zeus. So for me, she's kind of won the patriarch. She was not just equal, but she kind of converted the warfare, the patriarch, and she put it into the crafts, into the ancient music tribes, because she also the godhead and the goddess of very, very ancient music, how to say, not music societies, I have a word for that, guilds, of course, like ancient music guilds. And that's why there is this connection with the 50 gene keys and the music of the spheres and the ancient music guilds. It's all there as well. So she kind of, I like this also, she just holds the hair of the centaurs. There is also, maybe Alison, you would speak about this connection with the centaurs, which is our connectors on the far edge of the planetary consciousness, which are the collective planets like Uranus, Pluto, etc., etc. And I have a couple of pictures more, which I didn't open. Just give me a sec. It's also known that this is an Etruscan sculpture. It's not Roman sculpture, but it's considered to be Etruscan one. So she kind of, feeded with its culture, feeded with its knowledge, the whole empire, which then was corrupted and, of course, find its end. And any empire built on fear. And fear is another keynote for this Godhead, and it's another keynote for the spleen. It's a lot about fear of death, fear of the past. It has a lot to do with transforming this fear. And Roman Empire, of course, the one that didn't transform, otherwise it wouldn't collapse. So there is this encounter and facing of the fear. And the last picture I really like because it has to do with the pearl retreat for me and with the pyramid, which many of us, would dive into. Okay, 1 second. It's just another picture from the Etruscan art, which I like a lot. The whirlpool, which also the pearl represents for me, the pearl sequence and the whirlwind and the center inside of it, like a wormhole. Who knows, maybe they're like disappeared into the center of the earth, into the magnetic field somewhere. And yeah, I found it. This one, it's called, it's made by the artist Francesco del Cossa, Allegory of March, Triumph of Minerva. And she's in this pyramid, kind of sitting on a goat. But for me, she also has some kind of mudra. I didn't figure out, I had no time. It just popped up this picture for me. And the goat, and there are many kind of symbology with the codon ring of Illuminati, which is 4450, and the goat and the Saturn and what's not. And the triumph of Minerva is kind of yeah, I guess we will figure out why it is a triumph and what we have to do with that. I guess that's my introduction I would finish with, and after a while I could dive in our ring and in the Godhead saying, and yeah, thank you for listening to my part. Should I close the pictures, or maybe Alison, you would need any?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about two pictures, one with the wormhole, because you said something that triggered quite an interesting wormhole memory. So myself and my partner, we've spent a lot of time on Ynys Môn, which is the Isle of Anglesey in Wales, and we actually found this portal between two standing stones. So our feeling was that you know, a lot of druids were wiped out by the Romans, but it feels like they actually knew how to leave through dimensions, and so it just reminded me of that. Like, where did the Etruscan civilization go to? Well, you know, it does actually feel quite possible that they may have gone back through a wormhole to another dimension, and that's kind of my feeling, is that it was a star-seeded, that's what I mean by a star-seeded, that beings come in through these portals and can leave again if the situation is right for them to be here. And then can you go on to the goat one? The triumph of Minerva. So what comes to me looking at this, I saw it the other day in Sarani, our wonderful sister in Romania, did a presentation also on Minerva, and she used this picture. And we're about to enter the meta goddess of Capricorn Venus cycle. So on the 9th of January 2022, we have the inferior conjunction of the Sun, and this in Capricorn, which is gene key 54, is going to be the imprinting of Venus for this next cycle. And because it happens in Capricorn, it's called the goddess Capricorn metacycle. So that's what springs to mind with that. And there I see Minerva as Venus as well. So I don't know if that's the one, Katreni, where you perceived her as Venus.
Yeah, particularly in this picture, because this is like a birth of Venus. I mean, it's Botticelli. Most of his characters look like Venus, but yeah, she's the one like standing in the shell, and here we see is a Minerva, and she has a bit different patterns. Yeah, I remember this picture. I found it and published it on Lumio. It kind of brought me the insights on the cordon rings. And now when I saw that is this Etruscan art, like there is this pyramid as well, I would say, and the whirlpool that the pyramid creates, like quantum of the pearl creates the whirlpool, and this pathways of initiative, service, and growth, which is a prosperity thing. And for me, this Godhead has a lot to do with prosperity, but not through the material, but through the talent, through skills, through education. And that's for me, that's why she also popped up when we are just started the Pearl. Today is the starting of the Pearl sequence, 2nd of November. It opens the online retreat. So for me, that's not a coincidence. It's something there.
Yeah, no, for me too, because I have 28 line 3 is my pearl, and 32 line 6 is my culture. So I'm like, how interesting that the pearl has started today. So on that note, in the past week, I have been playing around with the mudras, and I wanted to do a mudra, just a short meditation, because just doing the mudras, we'll probably just do around a minute on each of the 4, and they're really amazing just to feel them. Okay, so let's begin this meditation. Just taking a few deep breaths. Taking a pause. We're going to go into the sequence of the Minerva Godhead, this codon ring. So if you just open your eyes to have a look at this first one, we're going to take hold of the left thumb and then just close over it. So this is the mudra for 32. And it's all about veneration, the city of veneration. And just quietly sinking into this. Relaxing the shoulders and the arms. Relaxing the hands. A veneration of the ancestors. We're going to transition now to the mudra of Gene Key 50. So if you bring the hands, and we're going to bring the right thumb into there, and we're going to touch the index finger and the thumb together and wrap over. So you should get a nice little conch shell shape. And 50 is the city of harmony. So let's invite this conch shell to take us into the depths of the ocean, where its beautiful form was shaped. Relaxing the arms, relaxing the hands. And feeling into the harmony. Now we're going to transition into Gene Key 28. This is called the Fish of Immortality. Hang on. Here we go. That way. So that the fish wings go out at the side. Yeah, like that. Okay, so now we're going to tune into this immortal fish.
I would also connect it to the kidneys, if one can spread its tension to the central column where kidneys connect.
And feeling the energy rising over the arc of the spine and the head. Feeling into the molecules of memory within the water element. And just completely relaxing the kidneys. now we're going to transition into the final gene key of this Minerva Godhead, which is the 44. We're going to interlink the fingers, not too tight, because we want to get a bit of space between them, and holding that over the heart. And feeling into the city of synarchy, the interconnectedness of all things, our own bodies, humanity, our connection to Gaia and all other living creatures. And when you're ready, releasing the mudras and coming back. And knowing that at any time you can spend more time with this amazing watery sequence and just experience Minerva through the mudras. Yeah, so I hope you found that useful. Feels like a much more somatic way to experience it. Like, could talk for days about Minerva, but to actually feel it. Yeah, be really interested in any feedback as well from people, how that felt. So, Katreni, shall we have a look at the wheel now and just dive a bit deeper into these different keys?
Thank you, Alison. I like the sequence. I like how we hold left finger and then it creates one feeling, and then the right finger, the conch, creates another feeling, and then the interlacing, and it's kind of this feeling of protection of the thymus, like handling one's immune response to people, to the kind of, I don't know, teamwork of the cells itself. And also this is kind of transcendence for me through the kidneys, through this mudra of fish, which is also this symbol, ancient symbol of the hand. If you see the hand, usually Muslims use the symbol of the hand with two fingers and the eye on the palm. So there are two fingers and there's two. So this is a powerful. Many women have something like the necklace with the symbol, or someone has it inside their house. It's pretty ancient, and for me that has to do with this transcendence of which 28 brings, which is transcendence of one's identity, which is actually the entrance to immortality. That's for me the 28, which is here on the wheel. brings, it brings this possibility to not only face one's dark side and being able as an individual, 28 as an individual gate, to be able to face the collective dark side, but also to not to integrate it, but to transcend fear, understanding, as Richard said, that fear is safe. So for me, this 28, the fear of death, the core fear in ours, is meeting our own dark side, meeting the collective dark side, and through meeting it, we transcending it, because we go into the totality, and through totality, feeling of totality, we go into the immortality, which is also something has to do with time. That's why I guess 28 and 32 are connected to the codon ring of illusion, because time is illusion. So this is kind of a window into immortality and totality, as not as wholeness and integrity, but rather transcending fear by understanding that individuality and the individual thing is an illusion. That's why after that, when this layer collapses, the fear of dying without money or being extinct 32nd, 44th, then also is gone, because there is no fear anymore, because there is nothing to be separated as an individual or as a tribe. There is nothing to protect. So that's what Gene Keys bring me this beauty, because we can contemplate the Godhead and the chemistry in a different way, because we have this beautiful words of preservation, totality, immortality, and veneration. By the way, veneration as Venus is this adoration. So there is another connection with Venus through the veneration, the CD of the 32nd Gene Key. And so we can see on the wheel that 32nd Gene Key and 44th is here, and it's connected to the other codon ring and to the autumn equinox, and we're in the element of the 57 Gene Key. So it takes the codon ring of matter, and it takes the codon ring of illusion and Illuminati, and as a Christ Godhead, as well as Minerva Godhead. So it's all programmed by the lower trigram of the 57 Gene Key, which is its archetype, the wind or the wood, which all has to do with yielding into one's intuition, yielding into the higher spheres, yielding into the different kind of frequency attunement to one's core frequency, and facing the fear, realizing that it's an instrument of awareness, rather something that needs to be escaped or kind of covered by tribal rules, tribal protection, tribal kind of, all of the tribal things, they're kind of piles upon this basic fear, which is not met. And sometimes it's used as a tool of awareness in the skills, in the art of war, in terms of art of welfare, meaning organizing things, because Minerva and Pallas Athena is the goddess of organizing groups, organizing whatever, everything, time, space. So for me, yeah, this 57 Gene Key that kind of tunes us and brings us to the end of the quarter of duality, which started from the 7 Gene Key, which is like individual attunement to direction, to one's role, whatever this role is in the relationship or wherever. And then we come in the middle of this quarter of duality, which is about, the whole quarter is about relationships. But for me, this wheel says that this relationship is not this Libra kind of relationship or genetic imperative, but it's relationship with oneself, with one's body through alchemy of the 29 element, 8 weeks of the 29, and then 8 weeks with the 57. So alchemizing one's waters, and then connecting with one's intuition in a deeper level. So it's all about the body, the 46, sorry, Jinki, enjoying the process, enjoying the body. So for me, Minerva and the secret of this Godhead is crafts that arise out of one's connection with the body, with body awareness. Spleen is all about body awareness. It's the most ancient body awareness. It's the first awareness humans acquired. Then it went into the Ajna center, into this mental thing, and now we're in the solar plexus mutation, where mutation is happening into the emotional awareness. So for me, Minerva brings us, to my intuition, which is individual body processing, individual understanding what's your skills, what's your place within any kind of tribe, and how one can transcend one's individuality through facing one's fears and go into the totality, and the different kind of understanding what is continuity. So the 32nd Jinki for me is this, connects to continuity, and we know this joke that the only thing that continues is change. So on the side of not self and fear, this continuity gets matter, and it gets solidified in different kind of tribal forms, preserving language, culture, which is very important because differentiation of the tribes is very important. And I would go rather there than the United Nations kind of thing, trying to melt everyone into this kind of affair of building back the Babylonian tower, and kind of, no, it's like we're together but we are different, and we are individuals, and we can choose. We have an open door. We can go into the tribe, learn, but then tribe leaves an open door so we can exchange, and we can nourish, and we can share our crafts and skills because we are one tribe. So this 32 is not about solidification and this conservation, but it's about recognition. For me, 32nd Jinki is this, in Minervan times, is those women who were not in the field for work with, or men, but they were staying with the children. And the 32nd is this ability to recognize what kind of children have what kind of talent. And in some kind of thing, it then can be an arranged marriage. Arranged marriage is here 54 and 32nd is this marrying maiden, and kind of go up the ladder of material reality. But for me, it's also about, it's a prop. It's like 32nd, recognize the talents, recognize who is good at what, and recognizing that the continuity is change. It's about like adaptation. I would also like to describe it in terms of the bodygraph thing, but maybe Alison, you would like to add something here.
Well, I just find these keys fascinating, and what's interesting to me is like this idea that the 28 is often the person who leaves the tribe and goes and cross-pollinates with other tribes. But yeah, I totally agree that we need to value different languages, different cultures. We don't all have to be the same. In fact, it's the diversity of nature in every way that's beautiful. So that kind of trying to meld everyone into one thing isn't working. Just becomes dominance, really. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that. So I'll hand back over to you.
Yeah, there is something that was really fascinating for me, and I guess some of you who is into human design can kind of see that. So we have 32nd here, 28th here. They form the codon ring of illusion, and basically transcendence of illusion through transcending one's fear and wants this kind of hallucination about material reality and money and stuff like that. And we have, so there are 4 keys in Minerva. It's 44 and 50, which creates a codon ring of Illuminati. And Illuminati is about this groups, groupthink. 44 is a synarchy, is a higher expression of the teamwork, is a synarchy. And the 50 is a master key of the whole spleen. It's the music of the sphere. It controls the whole spleen. It controls the whole consciousness. And though it's tribal, it kind of, it's about everything. It's about, it has kind of three streams: judgmentation of the logic. It has intuition of the individual, and has instinct of the tribe. So it's kind of, it's a key for everything. And 50 is fear of responsibility, but of like taking responsibility for the whole of this, for the whole tribe. But it's also about herding. It's music of the spheres. It's this codon ring of Illuminati, which kind of 44 and 50, they work together. And for me, Illuminati is nothing more than this kind of forces that control you through the mind to stay in the fear, in the material reality, in its lower frequency, of kind of manipulating groups of people to hate one another. The 44 is this suicidal bomber that kind of wants to protect the tribe and can blow itself up. 50 is the one who kind of controls, because it's a herd, and it's kind of it also belongs to the cross of laws. So it's establishing kind of laws, sexual rules of the tribe, initiation rites, having scars on the body. So kind of all of this tribal, ancient and still existing things, traces of the tribe. But it's like kind of, for me, it's a funny thing about Illuminati. They just want to survive of their tribe, or like whatever you understand by these words. It's just this kind of shadow that's integrated into the CD. It's part of the CD, which is all about harmony, teamwork, synarchy, and equilibrium. And there is kind of an expansion there. And so for me, what's interesting about connection of these 2 codon rings and the jinkies is that 32nd, it leads to the 44, because it's a tribal stream. So there is this connection. It's not just 2 separate codon rings, but on the wheel they go one after the other. So it's like 32, then 50, then 28, then 44. So they interlaced as well. And they kind of, the program jumps back and forth while we move through this last pieces of the quarter of duality. But also there is this interlacing here in the body graph. So 32 and 44, they belong together in one stream. And 50 and 28 is connected very interestingly, because that's the most important part. The 28 has a programming partner of the 27. So the other half of the wheel. So this totality, immortality has a lot to do with altruism and nurturing capacity of the 27. So it's like, I'm total because I'm altruistic. When I break the illusion of individual, I'm actually able to nourish the whole. I take on another kind of another role. And 27 is this totem animal, is a dolphin. So it's like dolphin that has this vast totality of the ocean, and it just like breaks the waves and together. And the 50 is like this herd, and the herd of dolphins, the pod of dolphins. It's like, is this playful 28 immortal kind of movement that kind of goes through unstoppable, just going through the waters. And it's a beautiful image for me, like this 28 and 27, how they play together. So the 28 is this individual gate, but it's super, super special because also of the programming partner. So it kind of locks in into this channel of custodianship, of brotherhood, sisterhood, of herding, of forming the communities, and the new communities are rising now. There is a whole bunch of flowering communities which live on different principles, on different kind of laws. There are no laws. There is just this synarchic forces. So I see it a lot. This beautiful 44 synarchy of people, and the 50 capacity of kind of create a herd out of it, of this beautiful flowing big group, because 5027 is also this channel of Va, big groups. So for me, when synarchy kind of sees through this 50 and the big group consciousness, but it goes into the higher frequencies, it's completely different story. This is the Illuminati, and Illuminati has different face, and it's a completely different group of people which are high frequency beings that work together because they emerge through the heart resonance and the silence. We know that the 44, it finishes the quarter of duality, and its programming partner, it finishes the quarter of initiation, the 24. It's a silence. The synarchy comes out of silence. It's not possible to mold people, to create some kind of dark rites, to cabal, whatever it's called on a kind of lower frequency scale. But the real thing is coming up. It's not possible to imitate. It's not possible to imitate immortality. It's not possible to not die, because continuity of the 32nd is change. It's not about living forever in this form. It's about changing forms. It's about the continuity is all about change. The synarchy is all about yielding into the silence, primordial silence, and arising there and find your people through the heart resonance. So that's the real thing. That's where we are now, and where kind of it starts to pop up like a popcorn all around, together with the CD frequency. So the 28, this is kind of, I'm trying to put it together, has a programming partner of 27. So it's a kind of, these codon rings, they interlace here. And also the 28 is individual gate, and it's the only gate which is which has the power of make the integration circuitry of the manifesting generator of the coming era, and also the channel which we have now in the nodes, and which will be there until the 19th of January. So this 3420 and 57 and 10, the whole integration channel, which is all, it's very selfish. It's all about self-survival, in the sense of like my own presence and my own power, like how I hold my own presence, how I hold my own power. There's also the dark sides of not being present and forcing things. And there is another thing of contemplating my own majestic presence. But anyway, it's egoistic, not in the bad terms, but it's all about like, if I manage, I can help others. And what 28 does is like, it forces the integration channel to stop being selfish and to kind of, so this immortality and totality, it even takes in this integration channel and says, okay, you're not only here for yourself, you can contemplate your majesty, but let's contemplate it all together, something like that. So there is a strong seed, because the whole Minerva is tribal. So all of this is tribal, and the only individual is 28, and this 28 mutates the tribe. It mutates the individual circuitry, and it kind of change the rules. It's unpredictable. The 28 is unpredictable. It's mutative, and it's called the purpose or the way. And the way is not what 28 says, is that we are not here just for survival. Survival is not enough. So it says we need. It's an individual, but it uses the words of the tribe, needing. We need something else. It points to the need that we need more than just, we need more than just survival. And what is it? It's talent, it's skills. It's like, it's being able to comprehend change. And for me, the whole answer to whatever tribal thing it is this 57, which is also very individual. So the inner trigram is individual. And that's the somatic part, this inner elements, 8 elements that form the wheel. They're connecting us to the form, to the somatic experience of the form. This is the base from where the expression arises. And for me, the immortality is this, how I change my own frustration about things. The 58 gate of the lake, it's like, it's frustration, how I connect to my own vitality. So immortality is connection with one's vitality. As simple as that. And yeah, well, and 50 is the equilibrium, and what we do with the groups. It has the upper trigram of fire, so it's not about accumulation and kind of finding instruments of how we create the group. No, it's burning out the karma of the past. So that's what the equilibrium for me. I burn with my fire, with my digestive fire. I digest, I burn, and I go into lightness. So the groups and Va, big group of people, and like the high frequency of it is all about lightness and vitality and beauty of the synarchy, 44, and 32 is all about awakening to one's own like power of initiating thing and initiative, not initiating, but initiative. In what kind of crafts I acquire, what are my initiative towards crafts and towards seeing who is skillful at what, who has talent at what. Yeah, so for me, this kind of 28 is magical. It influences this. It has programming partner here. So it's kind of a very interlaced node, very strong node of all these keys brought here together. And we could see, okay, Illuminati and illusion, the codon rings, it's Minerva, this is Hades, this is, we're heading there towards, and the Janus, which is a codon ring of life and death. So Minerva is kind of surrounding these notions of kind of reincarnating of life and death. Janus, another Etruscan god, as I've said, Minerva Janus. So there is this circulation and reappearing of groups of people. And if you are going to the Jinkies website, Richard uses this image of these 3 codon rings, 4 codon rings a lot. So there is some kind of power secret in what's going on with the groups of people. There's a constellation that's happening now with incarnating, with meeting those who are incarnating, and kind of changing our relationship with death, with fear, with the material, and how we kind of meet death in life. This is the job of the 32. It's kind of this doula. As you see, I can talk forever. And here I will finish and give my mic back to Alison to wrap it up, maybe. You're muted, but yeah, I have this thing which you as an astrologer maybe talk as well. We know that we enter the Scorpio when the 28 go into the transits. This is the Scorpio. The Scorpio starts here, Scorpio through transformation and death experience, and the Taurus. So there is this axis of Taurus and Janus and Scorpio, resources and transformation. What kind of resources we are letting go? What kind of yeah. So this dynamic. Thank you. Hi, Bella.
Well, I love it when the human design comes in, because I'm always learning like so much from it, and it's so fascinating to me. So I don't have anything else to add to that. I just feel like these are really super important gene keys, this whole process for where we're at now. So and thank you so much, Bella, for for inviting us onto your beautiful platform. And I feel we've been in an act of harmony and synarchy right here. And and so thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And may we go out into the world and be amazing Minerva minds and everyone else out there as well.
Yeah, I might just say a couple of words. It's such a luxury for me to be able to just be on the back end and listen and even get a meditation that I wasn't expecting. And I love what you're doing, Katreni, with the wheel, because this is what I more and more, when I understand the gates in the sequential, in the spirals, in the circles of the wheel, it's just so, it just gives me a completely different perspective. And this is what I feel like with Unlock Your Design. That's why I want you to be here, because that it's that weaving with the astrology, with the human design, but just not like cutting one gate off and speaking about it alone, but like doing that, those spirals that we're all in. And that's the harmony, the synergy, when we can see the bigger picture. So you are super welcome to come back. Like, what do you already know whether it's going to be here or not? What's the next conversation? Have you decided, like, where are you moving from here? What's the next conversation that you're going to share with people?
I'm not sure, actually. They tend to sort of arrive and and then it's like, yes, that's it. And like today it just felt spot on, with Minerva being conjunct the new moon in 44. It's like, well, yeah, it feels like the transmission, whatever, will tell us what the next one is. I don't know. Katreni might know, though. Don't know.
Probably something with the podcast we also make with Alison, and where we also interweave, and maybe we have Bella on our next one. That's my intuition, and we have this trinity interlacing things. Let's see. And is there anything from people who watch us? Can we see something? Anyone write somewhere? I don't know actually where we're streaming.
We're streaming to our YouTube, we're streaming to the pages, and I shared in the group. So we're a little bit everywhere. Let me see right away if there's any questions on the, if there is anything on, there's not anything in the page. So yeah, I guess I'll let you know if there are any comments. I wanted to announce too that Alison is going to be with us on Monday inside Inner Circle, but everybody's welcome to register. We'll post more about that. I'll post it in the live and also on our YouTube in the live there. And Alison, do you want to say 2 words about what you are going to do in the Inner Circle on Monday?
Well, we're going to talk about Estrella. Feels she's got quite a connection actually, because she's goddess of the golden age, and she's connected with sacred arts and with increasing subtle perception, and she's super interesting because people were absolutely sure she could not exist, and then she was the 5th one to be discovered some 38 years after Vesta. So she kind of represents the miraculous happening as well, or what was thought to not be possible suddenly is possible. So I think it's going to be a really lovely conversation about her.
Great. Yeah, so that's next Monday, and Ashley and I are doing a masterclass, Thrive by Design, on the centers on Thursday. So these are the 2 next things where you can tune in with us. And I guess with that, we are a little bit over time. Is there anything more, or should we log off? Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you on Thursday again. Bye.